Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD back at you with another Train Sim Mode 5 route learning video. Today we're going to be taking a class 377 Electro Star up the slow lines of the Brighton mainland from Reigate up to London Victoria. On our journey today we will be calling at Redhill, Merstham, Coulsdon South, Purley, East Croydon, Clapham Junction and finally London Victoria, which is a journey time of about 50 minutes. So our train is due into Reigate at 18:53, so in about 2 minutes time, and we got a 7-minute turnaround time before we head back up to London at 1900 hours. So I am now going to edit down the video, and once the train does arrive into the station, I will catch you guys then. So you can see the train pulling into the station here. A nice 4-carriage class 377 Electro Star. Am I recording? Yes, indeed I am. Right, so we are going to enter the... It is currently the front cab, but it is about to become the back cab. All I'm doing here is setting the driver reminder appliance, selecting the off position on the F and R switch, also known as the reverser, turning the master key anti-clockwise into the off position and also removing it. Headlight switch goes into the off position. Tail light switch stays in the auto position. And because the AI was in charge of the train just now, the safety systems are already isolated. However, if we had been driving this, the safety systems would be in the normal positions. The safety system isolation switches would be in the normal positions and would need to be isolated, but they are already isolated because, like I said, the AI was in command of this service. So that is all good. Now going to close the cab door behind us, and before we head up to the what is now going to be the front of the train, I'm just checking the tail lights here, ensuring that we've got 2 red tail lights being displayed, which we do. So that is all fine and brilliant. We're now going to sprint up to the front of the train because we do not have a lot of time here at all. 7-minute turnaround time is absolutely criminal. I feel sorry for whoever drives this service. Right, just taking a quick glance at the front of the train here, just ensuring everything is okay. Entering the cab, closing this. I'm not sure why this was left open. First thing we are going to do is turn the automatic warning system, driver safety device and vigilance isolation switches into the normal positions. Sit in the driver's seat, set the driver reminder appliance, master key turns clockwise, reverse into the neutral position and AWS reset. Headlight switch into the night running configuration because it is going to get significantly darker as we drive up to Victoria. So by doing it now, it just reduces the chances of us forgetting to do it later on. It's easier to just do it now. We're gonna select PIS on the My Track. I think this is called the My Track. I'm not too sure, but we're gonna click PIS and then we are going to scroll up 4 times. I think that was. I can't even count. 1, 2, 3. No, 3 times. I do beg your pardon. Oh dear. Confirm location and click exit. So that sets our destination display to read London Victoria. And our doors are already open. So we're just gonna quickly pop outside, take a look at the front of the train and get a thumbnail while we are at it. You can see the brighter headlight is shining from the driver's side, not so bright LED starlight shining from the non-driver's side, which is the night to running configuration, and destination display does indeed read London Victoria, which is brilliant. Gonna return to the cab now, close the door. I don't want the windows open today. Gonna sit back in the driver's seat and we have a 3-minute wait until our scheduled departure time. So I'm going to edit down the video and I will catch you guys then. Right, my people, so we are down to within 50 seconds of our scheduled departure time. You can see the signal has now cleared, the platform starter signal is now cleared to a green aspect, so we can reset our driver reminder appliance. And we are now 30 seconds prior to our scheduled departure time, so I am going to close the passenger doors. I'm being all extra about it, going to the other side, opening the door, looking back. Oh, I feel like the man, don't I? Doors are closed. We do have interlock. You see our interlock lights are illuminated. Going to select forward, going to hold the hill start button in, release the brakes, still holding in the hill start button and observing the 1 bar reading on the brake cylinder gauge. Selecting notch 1 of power, waiting for about a second, releasing the hill start button, brake cylinder gauge reading falls to 0 and train begins to move. Gonna up that to notch 2. Speed limit departing Reigate. What platform is this? Platform 2? Yeah, speed limit departing Reigate platform 2 in the London direction. 15 miles an hour. I know the heads up display did say 70 miles an hour there momentarily, but it is indeed 15 miles an hour. Just so you can cross over onto the correct track. And once the rear of our train is clear of that crossover, we can indeed accelerate up towards 70 miles an hour. So you can see the heads up display is showing 70 again, so we're gonna accelerate up towards that. However, I do need to perform a running brake test at 30 miles an hour, so I'm only using notch 3 of power to accelerate up to 30. Now that we are at 30, I'm going to select brake step 2. Observe the speed fall by 10 miles an hour, so brake down to 20 miles an hour and then reapply power. This time selected notch 4 full power and accelerate up towards 70 miles an hour. Although so we just received an automatic warning system alert that is associated with a warning board for a reduction down to 20 miles an hour. A reduction in the speed limit down to 20 miles an hour, I should say. Now, assuming that you've mimicked my acceleration and braking commands up until now, at the second overbridge that you pass beneath, so this overbridge that we are passing beneath now, make a brake step 2 application. Very briefly, you should be doing about 60 miles an hour at that point. Make your brake step 2 application, reduce it down to brake step 1, I'd say at around 50 miles an hour. And that will have you slowing down for the upcoming 20 limit on a decent braking curve. I am going to up that back up to brake step 2 very momentarily. Back down to brake step 1, just jumping between the relevant braking steps. And you'll notice I actually slowed down to 17 miles an hour. And the reason I've done that is because we are on a downward gradient. About 500 yards beyond the commencement of the 20 limit. There's a downward gradient. So by slowing down to 17 miles an hour as opposed to 20 miles an hour, you're allowing gravity a bit of room to bring your speed upwards without accidentally exceeding the speed limit. I know it's a bit confusing, it's a lot to take in, but I will definitely do a separate video on that topic. But yeah, so just it's a bit of a pro tip. Slow down to about 17 or 18 miles an hour when slowing down for that 20 limit on the approach to Red Hill station. You can see we got the platforms of Red Hill coming into view here. Also worth mentioning that the speed limit momentarily drops down to 15 miles an hour on entry into Red Hill platform 0. And the stopping position for a 4-car train on Redhill platform 0 in the London direction is about 2 to 3 carriage lengths beyond the end of the canopy. So from when we released the brakes after slowing down for that 20 limit back there, I've just been running on momentum right up until we entered the platform here at Redhill. So there was no need to touch the controls after slowing down for that 20 limit. And you can see we've come to a stand with the 2 to 4 carriage stop board in the window there. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. And we have a 6-minute wait here at Redhill station, so I'm once again going to edit down the video and I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Right, my people, we are once again down to within 30 seconds of our scheduled departure time, so I am getting the doors closed. Also checking the signal at the same time. We do have a green aspect. I need to remember to call that out. It's very naughty to close the doors without checking your signal. Right, we have interlock, into forward, notch 2 of power. We're on more or less level terrain here, so no need for the hill start button. It's a very shallow upward gradient, but it doesn't warrant use of the hill start button. Gonna up it to notch 3. Speed limit departing Redhill platform 0 in the London direction is 30 miles an hour, increasing to 40 at the end of the platform. So I'm gonna reduce the power down to notch 2 just to prevent us from exceeding the 30 limit. Gonna drop that down to notch 1 even. Just waiting for the rear of our train to be clear of the platform, which it now is, so we can go back into notch 2 of power. We're going to have an increase in the speed limit up to 75 miles an hour here, just as we join the adjacent track. And once again, just waiting for the rear of our train to be clear of that that trailing point there, and we will then be clear to accelerate up towards 75. And if you were paying attention, you would have just seen that we had an 80 board there, so speed limit is now increasing up to 80 miles an hour. And in a second, it will have a further increase in the speed limit up to 90 miles an hour. Next station is Merstham in 1 mile's time. 1 mile, 1 mile, no, 1 mile's time. I said it right the first time. So just looking out for that 90 board. There it is, hidden behind the underbridge. Braking point for Merstham station is coming up now. So as you enter this right hand bend, between the AWS magnet and the signal that you come across after entering the right hand bend, get a brake step 2 application in there. Don't be in brake step 2 for too long, as usual, because you don't want to kill off too much speed too soon. But yeah, just remember, you enter the right hand bend after the speed limit increases up to 90, and then between the AWS magnet and the signal that it's associated with, that is a decent place to get your brake step 2 application in. And it's a nice safe braking point as well. You can see we slowed down to 30 miles an hour and we still had about 500 yards to go before entering the platform, so you don't need to worry about overshooting the station or anything like that. Or if you're driving in poor railhead conditions as well, you know that you're nice and safe. Stopping position for a 4-car train at Merstham station in the London direction is east, a few carriage lengths beyond the footbridge. I say a few carriage lengths, that's about 1 carriage length. I thought it would have been a bit further along, to be honest. So just in line with the first PIS screen after the footbridge. Come on, where is it? There it is. 3 to 6 car stop board. Perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. Right, we have a green signal. We are 10 seconds prior to our scheduled departure time, so we can get the doors closed. Doors are closed and interlocked. Into forward, notch 2 of power. 5 miles an hour achieved, notch 4. Speed limit departing Merstham Station in the London direction, 90 miles an hour. Next station, Coulsdon South in 3.5 miles time. This is Merstham Tunnel that we are entering now. So between Red Hill and Merstham Tunnel, we were on a continuous upward gradient. As we exit Merstham Tunnel on the London side, we're now on a downward gradient. We are going to be on a continuous downward gradient into East Croydon Station. It's also worth mentioning that the speed limit does go down to 75 miles an hour very shortly, so I'm going to shut off the power. You can see we've got the warning board associated with that, so as I pass the warning board associated with that, I am going to make I did make a brake step 2 application, but to be honest there was absolutely no need for that. Brake step 1 will do the job just fine. But yeah, just make a brake step 1 application at the warning board and you'll be down for the 75 limit in time. Here it is commencing now, and we are 1.2 miles out from Coulsdon South Station. So we've got a short straight section of track after the commencement of the 75 limit. Excuse me. What I'm going to do is get my brakes in just at this signal here at the end of the straight section of track. So brake step 2 as we pass the signal. Going to reduce it down to brake step 1 about now. I think I can just about make the platforms. Yeah, I can just about see the platforms. I'm sitting quite far away from my TV and I don't have the biggest TV in the world, so forgive me if I'm struggling to see things. Just aiming for that 30 mile an hour entry speed. Between 25 and 30 is fine. Just momentarily release the brakes there. Although do be careful because the stopping position for a 4 carriage train at Coulsdon South Station in the London direction is at the end of the canopy here, and there is no stop board associated with that, so you do want to be kind of cautious. Just line up your window with the final pillar of the canopy and you should be stopped in more or less the correct place. I know you do have the yard counter and the yard counter is telling you to stop somewhere else, but in reality the train, a 4-car train, would be stopped about here. Right, brake step 3 neutral, door release on the left. Coulsdon South Station, my people, Coulsdon South Station. Right, so we are at our departure time. Green signal. Pressing the door close button. Interlock. Final glance at the signal. Forward. Notch 2 of power. 5 miles an hour achieved. Notch 4. Speed limit increases up to 80 miles an hour immediately beyond Coulsdon South Station. Next station is Purley in 1.8 miles time. And we do have a decrease in the speed limit down to 60 miles an hour just before entry into the platform at Purley Station. But due to the fact that we'd be slowing down for Purley Station anyway, that speed limit isn't going to have much effect on us until after we depart from Purley Station. But it is worth mentioning, of course. Coming up on Stokes-Ness Junction now, and we are being met by the fast lanes. The fast lanes separate from the slow lanes just south of Redhill Station and rejoin. Well, I say rejoin them. Oh gosh, that was a dirty piece of starter. That was. I say rejoin them, but more like run alongside them again. Here at Stokes-Ness Junction, and you've obviously got the crossovers that allow you to switch between the two. So I'm shutting off power at this AWS warning that I've just received. That is associated with the warning board for the upcoming 60 limit. And in a similar way to the breaking point for Merstham Station, between the AWS magnet and the signal it's associated with, I'm going to make a brake step 2 application. So that's the first signal after passing the warning board for the upcoming 60 limit. See the platforms at Purley Station coming up, aiming for a 30 mile an hour entry speed. Reducing it down to brake step 1. So I did hang about in brake step 2 for a bit longer just then, because we were coming up on the platform a bit too fast. Speed limit has now dropped down to 60 miles an hour as well. And for the more observant of you, you would have noticed that the speed board did say 80 in it, but I can assure you that that speed board is incorrect, and the speed limit is now 60 miles an hour. That's been like that since this route was released, and this route is a good 2 years old now. Not even 2, I think it's 3 years old now. So the fact that that hasn't been updated is kind of pathetic in my opinion, but what can you do? Stop in position for a 4-car train at Purley Station, platform 3 in the London direction is again at the end of the canopy. We've got no stop board or anything like that, so just using common sense. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left, and once again disregarding the yard counter. The yard counter said we had 30 odd yards to go, but that would take us all the way up there, which is a bit illogical. So I'm using common sense and stopping here at the end of the canopy. Thank you very much. Green signal, pressing the door close button. Lovely. Interlock attained. Forward. Notch 2 of power. You can see we got a Caterham and Tattenham corner service pulling into platform 6 over there. I'd love to drive one of those all the way down to either Caterham or Tattenham corner. I think the Tattenham corner line seems to be slightly more interesting than the Caterham line. And what I didn't realise until only a few years ago, I didn't realise how close Tattenham Corner and Epsom Downs are to each other. It's weird because the line that goes to Epsom Downs and the line that goes to Tattenham Corner, the two locations where they branch, off of the Brighton main line are so far apart. You'd think that the stations are in completely different places, but no, they actually end up like less than a mile apart, which I think is insane. Anyway, speed limit departing Purley is 60 miles an hour. This is Purley Oak Station that we're passing through. We are not scheduled to stop here. So in a similar way to the approach to Red Hill Station, not too similar though, but I didn't accelerate all the way up to 60 miles an hour. I shut off the power at about 58, and again that's just because we are on this shallow downward gradient, so I'm just giving gravity a bit of room to bring our speed up to towards 60, and it just prevents us from accidentally exceeding the speed limit. So unless you're traveling uphill, you want to avoid accelerating right up to the speed limit. Always give yourself a bit of room. I am predicting that we are going to be held outside of East Croydon Station as well, which is the next station that we are scheduled to stop at. So this is South Croydon Station that we're about to pass through. We're not scheduled to stop here. East Croydon is the next station along the line. Now, shortly after passing through South Croydon Station, I am going to make a brake step 1 application. You can see we've got a double yellow signal here. This particular signal displaying a double yellow aspect tells us that we have a red signal just before East Croydon Station. So I'm slowing right down, giving it a burst of brake step 2. I want to be doing 20 miles an hour before we pass this single yellow signal here. Speed limit does decrease down to 45 miles an hour at this signal as well, so keep that in mind in case you are running on the green aspects. So I've now slowed down to 20 miles an hour. I've released the brakes. Reason I wanted to be down to 20 miles an hour, a signal spacing away from the red signal, is because the following signal is, the next signal spacing is very short, so the AWS magnet associated with the following signal is more or less about 10 yards after the single yellow signal. So you want to be doing 20 miles an hour at that single yellow signal there. Just creeping up to the signal here, coming to a stand a carriage length away from it, and I bet the moment I stop it's going to change to a single yellow. You can see the train that was occupying the platform is just starting to pull out of the station now, and you can see now that the train is clear of the platform, we do have a single yellow aspect. So I'm going to, yeah, I didn't even secure the train, so I'm just going to reapply power. Only going to select notch 2. We don't need a lot of power here. And we can expect a red signal at the end of the platform, so we need to ensure that we enter the platform at a reduced speed, although I'm almost certain that by the time we actually get to our stopping position, the signal would have cleared up to a double yellow or a green aspect, but I could be wrong. Also keeping in mind that the stopping position for a 4-car train here at East Croydon platform 4 in the London direction is just beyond the end of the canopy. Come on. There we go. Perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. And we have a green signal as the platform starter signal now. So the train that was occupying this platform before we entered it is now at least 3 signal spaces ahead of us. Right, so we do have a green signal. We're at our scheduled departure time. Not a long stop here at all at East Croydon Station. Interlock attained. Forward. Notch 2. Speed limit departing from East Croydon Station is 45 miles an hour. Decreasing down to 40 miles an hour in about 3/4 of a mile's time. So I'm only going to select notch 3 of power. I don't need a lot of power right now, to be honest. What I will most likely do is accelerate up to about 42 miles an hour. We are currently on level terrain, but we're going to shortly enter an upward gradient just before the commencement of the 40 limit. So if I accelerate up to about 41 or 42 miles an hour, we're going to enter the upward gradient and gravity is going to bring us back down to below 40 just in time for the commencement of the 40 limit. And then not too far beyond the 40 limit, we do have a further reduction in the speed limit down to 30 miles an hour. As you can see, we did momentarily exceed the speed limit there. So my little 42 mile an hour method isn't too effective. So maybe disregard that. Anyway, you can see we've got the signal with the position 1 junction indication telling us that we are being routed off of the slow lines and over to the fast lines here at Solhurst. So immediately as that signal comes into view, just making a brake step 1 application, and that should bring us down for the upcoming 30 limit almost bang on. But we're now traveling on a fairly steep downward gradient. So what I've done, yeah, -1 in 99, that is terribly steep. So what I've done is slow down to 25 miles an hour, release the brakes. Gravity is bringing us back up towards 30 miles an hour. By the time we reach 30 miles an hour, the speed limit will be 70 miles an hour. So you can see speed limit is now 70 miles an hour, straight into full power to accelerate up towards that. And this is Solhurst Station that we've just passed through. Next station that we are scheduled to call at will be Clapham Junction. 6 point, what does that say? 5 or 6? I can't even see. I can't tell if that's a 5 or 6. Let me lean forward. I think that's a 5.7 miles. Oh dear. Right, this is Thornton Heath Station that we're passing through. I'll tell you one thing, that sun, if this was in real life, that sun would be absolutely killing me. I'd have to pull down the little blind up there. But thankfully in Train Sim World, the effects of the sun aren't too severe. And what I've done rather irritatingly was accelerate right up to 70 miles an hour, which is something I was trying to avoid to do. Yep, I was trying to avoid doing that because as you can see, gravity is bringing us above the speed limit. So I've now had to tap on the brakes there momentarily to bring us down a bit. Yeah, so if I had accelerated up to about 67 miles an hour or 68, then I wouldn't have that issue where I needed to tap on the brakes and cause unnecessary discomfort to the passengers. Because imagine you're a passenger in a train. This is Norbury Station, by the way. But imagine being a passenger in the train and then the driver just makes a brake application for 1 second. That's a bit. You're going to be thinking, now, what are you doing? So we try to avoid stuff like that, but sometimes you don't really have a choice. But that what I just did was easily avoidable. Very steep downward gradient between Norbury and Streatham Common Station. So I might need another brake application. Oh no, we got away with it. We got away with it. So this is Streatham Common Station we're passing through. RIP to home base. Right, in about 3/4 of a mile's time, we have a reduction in the speed limit down to 60 miles an hour. So that gravity might have us down for that in time, or we might need to tap on the brakes momentarily. We're gonna see what happens. So I reckon after passing through Selhurst Station, if I'd accelerated up to about 66 or 67 miles an hour, then I probably would have been able to coast right up to the 60 limit without needing to touch the controls. But because I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't able to pull it off. So I did need to momentarily tap on the brakes there just to bring us down for the 60 limit. And here it is commencing now. So just as you enter this left-hand bend here, you can expect to find that 60 board. This is Balham Station. And we've got another very steep downward gradient on the other side of Balham Station here. What I am going to do is, as the speed rolls up to 60, I'm going to make a brake step 1 application and slow down to about 55 miles an hour. Then I'm going to release the brakes. And once again, we're just giving gravity some room to roll our speed up towards the speed limit. This is Wandsworth Common Station that we are passing through. The next station along the line is Clapham Junction, where we are scheduled to stop at. So you can see we've got a long straight section of track. There is a signal at the end of the long straight section of track just as you enter the curve here. If this signal is displaying a single yellow aspect, then you can expect to be held outside of Clapham Junction Station. But it was displaying a double yellow aspect on this occasion, so we know that we are cleared to enter the platform at Clapham. So if the signal before that signal had been, do you know what, let me be quiet before I accidentally over confuse everything, because do you know what it is, I was initially gonna say something, but I was meant to be talking about the signal before the actual signal that I started talking about. So now if I try to go back on myself and correct myself, it's just gonna make the whole thing a lot more confusing. So I'm just gonna bail out of whatever it was I was about to try to say. But yeah, you can see we got the red signal at the end of the platform here at Clapham Junction Station. And again, 4-car train, just stop at the end of the canopy. Brake step 3, neutral. Oh, we should have set our DRA. But the signal has cleared to a green aspect, so that is good. But yeah, Always set your driver reminder appliance when stopped at a red signal. Also forgot to actually call out the braking point. When I'm coming into a station under yellow signals, it kind of distracts me from the fact that there's actually a braking point for the station, because the signals are, I'm prioritizing the signals, of course. But Clapham Junction Station, you've obviously got the long straight section after Wandsworth Common, and then you have that right hand bend that you enter. About midway through the right hand bend is a decent place to get the brakes in. And you could just pay attention to your signal spacings, of course. Like I said, the first signal that you come across after exiting the straight section of track is 2 signal spacings out from Clapham Junction. So that particular signal, being a double yellow signal, tells you that you have a red signal at the end of the platform. So you can, in a way, use that as reference. Sometimes signal spacings are, I feel like they're an underrated way to judge your braking points for stations and all of that. Anyway, speed limit departing Clapham Junction is 60 miles an hour, going down to 45 miles an hour very shortly. So what I'm going to do is only accelerate up to 50. I'm going to shut off the power, and I'm going to make a brake step 1 application just as we pass that signal there. So I believe that was the first signal after departing from Clapham Junction Station. And you can see speed limit has now gone down to 45. And we're now on a bit of a climb here as we swerve over to the right and then swerve over to the left just to pass over the southwestern lands and head over towards the River Thames and then onwards to London Victoria, not too far beyond that. And you can see the iconic Battersea Power Station in the distance there. So still in notch 1 of power just because of the climb that we're on, but we are now reaching the top of that climb as we pass through Battersea Park Station. So I'm now shutting off the power. 1.2 miles away from London Victoria. We've got 2 more reductions in the speed limit. So we've got a 40 limit that commences on the other side of the bridge that we're about to pass over, that takes us over the River Thames. This particular signal displaying a double yellow aspect tells us that we can expect to be held outside of London Victoria. So I am now going to make a brake step 2 brake application, reducing it down to brake step 1. Slowing right down to 20 miles an hour. In a similar way to the approach into East Croydon Station, you know, we had the single yellow signal, then we had the double yellow signal, then the single yellow signal, and the red signal not being too far beyond that. So just better safe than sorry. Bring it right down to 20 before passing the single yellow signal. And it also gives the red signal a bit of time to clear. Anyway, speed limit is now 40 miles an hour. If you were paying attention, you would have seen the 40 board not too far beyond the single yellow signal. And more or less adjacent to the red signal that we are coming up on now is the final reduction in the speed limit down to 20 miles an hour. Very steep downward gradient as well. More or less, I'd say the entirety of this signal spacing is on a very, very steep downward gradient, so be very careful about that, which is again why I kind of preach slowing down to 20 miles an hour before passing the single yellow signal, just to give you a bit more control of your train here. You can see I'm in brake step 1 now, and just the train does not want to slow down at all. If I release the brakes even momentarily, the speed just starts increasing. But we are now safely stopped, a carriage length away from the signal. So brake step 3, neutral, driver reminder appliance set. And you can see the 20 boards, there's 2 of them. I don't know why, but you can see the 20 boards marking the commencement of the 20 limit for the final stretch into London Victoria. So this is the signal that protects London Victoria Station, by the way. It's most likely displaying a red aspect due to the fact that there is a train currently occupying the platform that we have been assigned into. So we have to wait for that train to depart, and then we should be all good to pull into the station. Right, my people, signal has cleared to a single yellow aspect with number 15 in the route indication box, telling us that we are being routed into platform 15, which is the platform we are scheduled to arrive into at London Victoria. So I've now reset the driver reminder appliance, selecting forward. I'm going to select 2 notches of power, and what I'm going to do is accelerate up to 10 miles an hour, even though the speed limit is 20, and that is due to the very steep downward gradient that we are on. So you can see I shut off the power there, but we're still gaining a significant amount of speed. And as we get towards 20 miles an hour, the track is gonna level out a bit, so we should stop gaining speed. 18. Yeah, so you can see I shut off the power at 10 miles an hour, and we managed to gain an additional 8 miles an hour just through gravity alone. So you can see the effect that traveling downhill has on these trains. Just giving it a burst of brake step 1 to be below 15 miles an hour on entry into the dead end platform. Now 3 carriage lengths away from the buffer stops, I'm going to aim to be traveling below 10 miles an hour. So just accomplishing that with another burst of brake step 1. I'm now aiming to be below 5 miles an hour, 1 carriage length away from the buffer stops. And again, just using another burst of brake step 1 to accomplish that. And from here, it's just a final series of brake step 1 bursts to bring us to a stand with the buffer stops just below the dashboard. This is a ridiculously slow approach. Oh my goodness, this is painful. Yeah, yeah, that was awful. All right, brake step 3, neutral, door release. Sorry, driver reminder appliance set because we are at the end of the line. Door release on the left. Reverser off, master key off and removed, headlight switch off, automatic warning system, driver safety device, and vigilance isolation switches into the horizontal isolated positions. Gonna exit the cab. And we are going to do the outro. So that concludes episode 4, I believe it is, of my root learning series. Constructed feed constructed constructive feedback and criticism is more than welcome in the comment section below and is highly appreciated. And if you'd like to further support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next one. Love.